Today on the Auburn Torch, the Gymternet has done it again. Let's just get into it. I am setting a timer because I cannot. I do not want to go on this for a stopwatch. I don't want to go on this for 20 minutes. Today we're getting opinionated, all right? But it's a good day for it because, real quick, checking out the all sports calendar. Nothing yesterday, no results to talk about from yesterday. Today, women's tennis hosts Georgia Tech. That was a second round NCAA tournament team last year, so we'll see if they can give a challenge to Auburn. Auburn's playing well and highly ranked, but certainly more so than Bellarmine, Alabama A&M, some of these other teams that Auburn's been tuning up with. So a power conference opponent, NCAA tournament opponent. So yeah. I mean, not to downplay it. Bigger test here for Auburn. 3 p.m. at the Auburn Tennis Center, also streaming live. Check out the court cams if you're at work in that 4 o'clock hour and just kneeling out the clock and getting out of there. Or you got a second monitor, you can throw up the stream. I've been watching. It's fun. I wish there was a scoreboard. Maybe one day here on the Torch we will we'll do a co-stream or a shoutcast. We will see about that. We'll see. I don't even know if my computer can do it, but anyway. And then tonight, men's basketball on the road at Ole Miss. Check out the Auburn Observer, and Justin Ferguson will have takeaways. And 8 o'clock tip, can't make it because it's a school night. Punch your email address into auburnobserver.com, and first thing in the morning, right in your inbox, your morning routine, you can get his takeaways, his observations, and everything that went down, and get a grip. It's already been 2 minutes. The Gymternet. Last night we had a spirited discussion on Twitter. Sophia Bell on Instagram, a sophomore, she wants this message out there. She doesn't mind me showing this, I don't believe. Just had this I'm not going to read all of it. Audio listeners, you can just check it out. It's on my Twitter. It's on her IG story. She's just, hey, PSA to the Gymternet. Girls you see on TV are real humans with real emotions. I don't want to talk about this, or I shouldn't talk about that. I don't want to make a habit of talking about it. But at the same time, I have kind of always wanted to have a way to talk about some of this stuff in a nuanced way that's not just tweeting at each other, right? Like, how much of the downfall of our society is going to be attributed in the future to we stopped talking to each other and started yelling at each other 240 characters at a time? 180. So to actually talk about it and have some nuance to it, and I'm going to try to be a little fair to everyone. So anyway, if it doesn't interest you, move on. This is just me talking, and I'm not going to preface it. I'm not speaking on behalf of anyone, not any Auburn gymnast, nobody. I'm not speaking on behalf of anybody. Not to defend. So the Gymternet is the internet. If you're just an Auburn fan, you're not familiar. The Gymternet is the internet fandom of gymnastics. They, not to defend them, but and not to not to straw man them all in one, but we kind of are right now in this for the sake of this discussion. They are not like other fan bases. They kind of claim that they're like other fan bases or like other sports fans. They're not like other sports fans. There's a difference, and that's the crux of anything I want to say today, really. Is just remember, that's the key word is there is a difference. They to me, they kind of remind me of like a K-pop fan base or like something a little bit different. It is different than, you know, like I've said before, NBA Reddit or, you know, NFL Twitter or college when the college football fans leak into each other on Twitter. Um, it is different. It is, you know, what I shared, and I don't even see how they could disagree with it. Is I'm like, if you're unfamiliar with the Gymternet, it can be snarky, jaded, cynical, sarcastic kind of community because it is. Okay, it can't, you know, like it's very different. You will find something very different than if you're watching the ESPN. If you just watch the Friday Night Heights, right, the telecasts, and you know John Roethlisberger and Sam Pesh and Peschick, all of them are, you know, they make it a point to say, wow, that was beautiful. You know, wow, good job, she saved it. You know, good job, right? Um, the Gymternet is not that way. The Gymternet, and I don't know how much of that is reaction based, right? The Gymternet is a lot of uh, just crass, but also, like I said, just kind of snide and snarky. I think it's an outlet for some people, you know. And like I said, I don't know how much of it is a creation or a response to what they maybe perceive as infantilizing or coddling, right? Um, in their defense, or not, you know, again, not to be in their defense, I think there's a line, and I think there's a middle ground, and I think that's anything else I have to contribute. First of all, about Belle, and we'll move on from Belle. Okay, she's speaking up for her teammates. She's not had a bad routine all year. If you Auburn Torch subscribers know, or she's been on vault and floor twice in 2 meets. She's had 4 routines all year, and all of them are higher than a 9.9. I mean, she's been fantastic, right? She is speaking for her teammates specifically. Auburn on bars had a really rough rotation, and there was just a lot of stuff on Twitter about them, and I'm not gonna give it a platform or anything, not because it's too disgusting. None of it's like death threat or go die or anything like that. It's but it was like oh my god, you know, do they practice? Are they even prepared? Did they have conditioning? And then it was like, which is insane because first of all, it wasn't that bad. Huff and Neal did fine, and also they did well enough the week before too, right? Like whatever, it just over dramatic, right? And then not to get gendered by saying that, over dramatic. Men can be over dramatic too. And then it's just a lot of like, Kentucky has had a rough go on beam, and you know, you go on the Gymternet, you can see they have a low light clip of like Kentucky falling off the beam, and like, so they're like, oh well, Auburn and Kentucky, they're gonna have a fall fest, and you know, who sucks more, and blah 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 blah, and like, okay, so then it's like, oh well, you know, they get in my replies, and it's like, this is no different than other sports, and okay, I'll grant, what if anything, if we as football, you know, you're fans, I'm in the journalist sphere, the same sphere though, that community, what if anything did we say about Zach Calzada at Kentucky this year, right? Man, not looking great, right? Like, oh god, you know, we would whisper, he sucks. I think you would change your language a little bit if you expected him to see it, right? I think usually everyone you kind of soften the blows if you expect them to see it. And I think one of the problems here is, you know, people are like, just don't vanity search. Don't search your name on Twitter. And it's like, I guess this is going to be a 20-minute episode, whatever. And it's like, well, you know what? Nowadays, one of the points I've made is like, nowadays the algorithm is going to get it to you. These algorithms on these apps are predatorial. I mean, they're bad. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, we live in a world where, you know, there's that Facebook case where they found out Facebook would, if a young girl was deleting her pictures, Facebook would start giving them ads for like cosmetics and makeup and stuff. It's like, how messed up is that, right? Like these, and engagement bait is a huge thing. If you're on Twitter, man, vague posting right now for engagement, holy cow! Your For You page is just, it's just vague stuff because people reply to it saying, "What are you talking about?" Right? Anyway, the algorithm is going to give you stuff to get a rise out of you. I mean, the same way the algorithm, you know, I mean, people who didn't like me for criticizing Brian Harsin or Hugh Freeze, you know, I like my account because the algorithm, not because if it was old Twitter, I'd been fine, or I wouldn't have cared, right? Or it wouldn't have even done anything. But in new Twitter, the algorithm was giving my tweet to people who didn't like me more than it was giving it to people who like me. It's so backwards. All to say. So like the account, life was awesome. Life was great. Hopefully I can do it again. I'm just trying to, you know, spread the word about the torch right now. If you have like over 1,000 followers, like if you have the follower count you want, just log your account. It's awesome. Life is so much your social media life, right? And yeah, some stuff can spoil your day sometimes, but your social media life will be so much better if you just lock your account. Like why do you even care if you're an Auburn fan and you're tweeting? Like why do you want some Bama fan or whomever to just butt into the conversation, right? Another soapbox. All to say, the algorithms are predatorial. The algorithms are bad. This stuff is getting to these gymnasts, right? Gymnasts. There is, like I said, this is where the nuance and like I want to actually talk comes from. I have made success in my career treating D1 athletes like D1 athletes, right? I think there's a hunger for that. I think everyone responds well to that, be it coaches, athletes, fans, right? Not to do the coddling, not to do the infantilizing, you know, there's a layer of sexism where it's the, you know, anytime a girl does something, it's you go girl. Anytime a guy does something, it's whatever, right? I'm a proponent of that. So, you know, again, it's coming from me, right? You know, and I try to act that way. At the same time, to say that the sport isn't different or this discourse about the sport isn't different, of course it's different. Of course it's different. Of course it's a little different. Because it's one athlete on center stage on an apparatus, her and her body on an apparatus, and they are judged, okay? And it is artistry, okay? And that's the sport. There's no defense, there's no ball, there's no field. And a lot of these sports, it's PvE, to use a video gaming term. It is man versus machine. It is it's solitaire. It's man versus the course. And in a lot of ways, you know, golf is the same way. Golf, it's what's the word, uncouth or whatever, taboo to, you know, boo or cheer when someone goes into the sand trap, right? It's taboo because it's man versus course, right? I mean, even in going back to video games, which is, you know, just because this is just me speaking on me, you know, people may, you know, trash talk players who are, you know, like fighting game players who are playing each other. But does anyone trash talk speedrunners? I don't think so. Like, you're just like, hey, do your best, right? and other sports like that. Yeah, like I said, golf, bowling, anything that's athlete versus course. There is a different element to it. I would argue even more so than golf. And like, yeah, okay, on Twitter, are there people, or can there be, we live in a world. I'll acknowledge, to give the Gymternet credit or whatever, to give I will acknowledge that, like, hey, last night you're on Twitter, a meme about Carson Beck and the character from Ice Age, right? Hey man, if someone did that to a gymnast, appearance based kind of joke like that, it'd be a whole thing. It would be a whole thing. And Carson Beck, we're like, okay. I acknowledge that, right? I acknowledge that. And none of this has been about anyone's appearance when I'm talking about, the way they've criticized Auburn. I can acknowledge that, but I also think the reactions to what you're doing up there are different because of that element, that it is man versus machine. It is one athlete and their body versus an apparatus. And it's like it's Flappy Bird. Which, if you're young, I don't know if you remember. If you're old, you definitely do. It's like Flappy Bird, because Flappy Bird, what made Flappy Bird so popular, overnight sensation, viral hit, what made it so popular, in my opinion, what was the simplicity of the game, and the fact that, like, you would tap, tap, tap to go between the pipes, and then you would hit the pipe, and it was your fault. It was your fault. Sorry, we're just staring at my desktop background. For video listeners, I don't know. I don't have much. I mean, I'll put this back up in case you want to read it and haven't read it. Flappy Bird, Flappy Bird, you would tap your phone, and then you would hit the pipe, and it's because you suck. Whereas when I play college football on the PS5, it's this incredibly complicated game. It's a miracle it even exists. All these ones and zeros, incredibly lifelike, but also completely unrealistic. And I throw an interception, and a defensive back just teleports over and intercepts it, and I say, the game screwed me, or whatever. Or all the circumstances were a little different. If Carson Beck throws that interception to lose the game last night, right? But there's a shield between him and failure, in a way, because it's a team sport, and there's geometry on that field, and there are players on that field, and that defensive player did make a great catch to intercept it. The defense did hide their coverages correctly. Maybe Miami's had maybe he was pressured and his lineman did not protect him well enough. There's a shield there. There's a layer of protection for Carson, and even in his own mind, right? Because it's a team sport, and gymnastics is Flappy Bird. There's no defense. There's really not many excuses. And when you mess up, you mess up. So to harp on that, and the other thing, my other criticism of the Gymternet would be, I almost feel like they would derive more joy in watching 6 straight falls on beam than they would enjoy talking about, or whatever, 6 straight, really good routines. And I think they harp, and I think there's a kicking when you're down, whereas another, like football, like, yeah, we're like, oh, they suck, like Kentucky football or whatever, like, yeah, they suck. Do we harp on it that much? Do we or do we just like, yeah, they suck, moving on, let's talk about the good teams? You know what I mean? How bad do we harp on it, right? And like, anyway. All right, that's going to be enough. I'm glad I said all that I said, because I don't want to revisit it again. All to say, it is different. It is it is different. They're like, oh, it's no different. It is a little different. It is different. It's judgment. It's artistry. It is different. And you know, for someone, I've never said this before, but you know, for an Auburn fan of like, oh well, you know, the artistry, the dancing, the pointing toes and stuff is a little different for me watching this. It has to be artistic. Gymnastics has to be artistic, or else it'll just be, you know, girls flipping and until they break their bodies. You know, who can do a double flip, who can do a triple flip, who can do a quadruple flip, and then girls are landing on their head, and we as a society aren't doing that. Right? That's high jump, that's pole vault, that's long jump. We're not doing long jump with a flip. We're not doing it. People will land on their head, right? I keep pulling out insane examples, but it's like that year that in the X Games when Travis Pastrana was doing the double backflip, and then either that year or the next year, some random guy came in with like no spot. I may pull this. We may do a story time on this on Torch Talk one day, but like that some guy with no sponsors just rolls up and tries to do the double backflip and immediately comes up short and gets injured. That would be gymnastics if there wasn't the artistry, right? So there has to be artistry, there has to be judgment. And so when you're talking about them, how is it not more personal when it is athlete and their body versus apparatus being judged? It's like, oh, don't take it personal. It is at least a little bit more personal. You know, it is. So can we just acknowledge that it is different? And I don't know. The Gymternet's like, oh, there's no different than other sports fans. And it's like, oh, here's a comment where someone said, you know, Dak Prescott, what's he doing? How's he even seeing the field? That's so much worse than what I said. And I'm like, I don't think it is. I'm sorry. I don't think it is. So all to say, there's got to be a balance. I'll say one more thing. I'll tell you one more story. I'm going to re-record. I said I was going to talk about multiple things in my intro. I'm going to re-record my intro and just put this out. One more thing, you know, this is hardly anything. You know, I've got the Instagram. I'm trying to get it off the ground. Auburn Torch. Follow us on all platforms, not Twitter. You can just follow my account. If I ever go private, I'll probably make a Torch account. And, you know, I've got a headline here that's, you know, hey, rough, tough rotations. You know, here's the highs and lows. Here's what went right. And here's what went wrong. Some stuff went wrong. And, like, several of the gymnasts liked it. You know, and I almost feel like, you know, if it were football and it was like, you know, I don't think they would. I think it'd be like, you know, we got to prove the haters wrong, right? And they're like, yeah, that's a realistic. I think it's just fairness, right? Like that's a fair, not to just be like, oh, Justin's right and everyone else is wrong. But like, I think there's a way you can talk in a way that is not infantilizing about failure, about getting back up, about that was a bad rotation, about oof. You know, you can do that as long as, you know, in a way that's professional and fair, and then you can get too far off the other end. And it's like with ESPN, you know, their knowledge about gymnastics is, you know, those John, you know, who I mentioned, John Roethlisberger, Sam Pesek, and a lot of the former gymnasts, like, well, Sam's one, but, you know, Allie Rainsman is getting better with it. Somebody said Trinity Thomas is doing commentary. I haven't heard her yet, but like they have this incredible wealth of knowledge, and like I almost wish I would steer them a little bit more from the oh great job into the here's what went wrong, here's how they can get better in time for NCAAs. Like I wish they would get a little bit, but I trust them because they're professionals. Right? Like I trust them to do that. Right? And I don't know, man. The Gymternet is like, you know, I'm not going to get into, you know, unless you find yourself, and if you're an Auburn fan, don't even bother. You're going to find yourself trapped in a argument with some random 14-year-old girl on a burner. I mean, there's nothing to it. But they're just like, delete the app. And it's like, no, how about Soph just says what she says, which is basically, screw you, we're going to be better. Why don't you take that? Why don't you just take that? Or if you don't want to see that, you delete the app, right? That's all. I did want to I did just want to talk with a little nuance, a little bit. I hope I'm making sense. If I don't, please comment. And I know, again, I try to just kind of play translator for, is it great that these hardcore fans are getting into their hobby? Yes. Awesome. Right. I think it's weird of them to be like, we're just like every other sport, and they don't watch any other sport. Right. It's a very isolated fan base, right? Like, okay, watch a little more and then come back to me. I'm a member of as a journalist, I'm a member of different spheres of different sports because I cover different sports. At the paper, the high school sports, the high school football sphere, the high school basketball sphere. I've been in Texas, those spheres, the Auburn football sphere, the basketball sphere, the Olympic sports spheres, the gymnastics sphere. I've been in different ones, so I feel like I can say with authority what's different and what's the same. And they're just like, yeah, no, everyone, this isn't that bad. But it's just a little different. That's all. I mean, I just think the sport is different. Not to coddle, not to whatever. I mean, I think even like, Jack Nicklaus and those golfers, like the legends, if I'm not mistaken, like I think Nicklaus would speak out about, or at least say like, man, I hated it when I would hear those like that like mixed reaction on the golf course. Like I'm pretty sure there's a clip of him saying like there's a mixed reaction on the golf course, and you're like, I hate that because that means someone missed a putt, but someone's happy about it, right? Like there's a reason they hate that. There's the reason that they want. It's a very isolating thing. It's a very, man versus machine thing. All right, I'm gonna go. That's long enough. This was a long one. I knew it would be long, but I will, because I set the stopwatch, I will not be getting into another topic. We can carry that on tomorrow. So, long one today. Hey, tennis this afternoon. That's about it. Busier week later on. We'll just let this one stand by. We'll just let this one. I'll just push this one out, and we'll let it live and die today. And we will be back with a more regular Torch Talk tomorrow. Much more normal Torch Talk tomorrow. Until then, take care.